All right. I am live. Let's see how this goes today. The last couple of live streams didn't get a whole lot of viewership, and so we'll see what happens here. Hey, everybody. For those of you who are just now tuning in, my name is Garrett Jones. I am the host of The Right Way, and I apologize for sniffles. It's been dealing with allergies with the changing of the seasons and everything. It's been really windy and rainy and crazy. So, yeah. Hold on. I'm going to be posting this here. Okay. Let's see here. Share this link on Instagram. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Okay. Oh, that's not what I want to do. Hold on. I apologize. I'm a little bit slow today. And see how that goes. All right. So, good morning, everybody. Normally I do these in the middle of the afternoon, but I've got to work later today, so I did it this morning. And one of the things that I am in the process of doing is trying to figure out, what's next and all that. So, on today's show, let's see here. I'm pulling this up. Wanted to share a little bit about what I've been working on over the last couple months. So back in mid-January, I started a new podcast. Well, I restarted a podcast that I've done before called Storytellers. And Storytellers is a podcast that has evolved over the last few years. When I initially started in October of 2019, wow, was that long ago? So October 2019, it started off just talking about what writing is. It was my discussion, my philosophy on how I viewed writing, and it stemmed from a conversation with my younger brother about he's like, it's writing. You don't really do much of anything. It's not really work. It's not hard. And I'm like, you have no clue. But so it stemmed from that response, and it just kind of snowballed from there. And I got some decent listening time put in, and then the second season kicked off in early 2020 before the pandemic really hit, and that one was talking more about the danger zone, some of the hardships that writers face, and the question of whether or not they should be writers versus whether they should. And so I talk about these places of fear, our insecurities as writers. And in the middle of the pandemic, during the summer of 2020, I changed gears yet again. And in that particular season, I invited other authors that I was connecting with through social media to share their work. So they could submit a short story or a set of poems or a segment of a chapter, and I would narrate it audiobook style. And then if they were open to doing a Q&A and asking them about how they got in their work. And I've connected with people through this, and it has been fantastic. And so I was really, really looking forward to that. Season 4 didn't jumpstart until the spring of 2021. A lot of things took place at the tail end of 2020. I was able to go back to work, so that that changed my scheduling a bit. But we also had a passing in the family. My grandmother, who was 95 at the time, passed away. She would have been 98 this last September. And this was a woman who saw a lot of history. And so I felt the best way for me to grieve and to honor her life, since we weren't able to do a memorial service right away, was to share my thoughts via podcast. And what's been really kind of nice is going back and looking at the stats for that season. Most of the top rated episodes came out of that season. In fact, the season finale, Memorial episode, season 4, episode 10, has apparently 206 listens so far. That's the largest that anyone has. But looking at my top listings for my top 10 episodes, that's the number one. The very first, the season premiere of that season is the 4th. Then the 9th episode of that season is the 6th rated, and then the 3rd episode of that one is the 9th rated. Most of the others are coming from the season 3 episodes, with the 2nd rated episode of my top 10 episodes being the very first episode of the show, because that was the one that got the most hits before Memorial. And I guess Memorial just kind of resonated with a lot of people. With season 5, I'm taking a different tack. It took me a while to kind of figure out what I wanted to do with season 5. And so at the tail end of 2020, just a few weeks after my grandmother had passed away. So she passed away in the first half of December of that year. And so just a few weeks after that, the day after Christmas, in fact, my then wife approached me and said that she was leaving. She was done. She couldn't do marriage with me anymore. And so, yeah. And so I've been in the process of healing from that and just kind of working through the issues that stem from going through a separation and a divorce and all of that. And so now what I've done is, with Storyteller season 5, the focus is called Dealing with Divorce. The premise of this is to help me get through and process some of these things that I haven't really processed or shared with anybody. But the other part of it is to highlight ways that I might be able to help other people. And so there's 6 episodes out right now. The last one just came out 3 days ago on February 20th. So they come out weekly, every Tuesday at 10 a.m. The first episode is called Naked and Afraid. Then we have 5 stages. Then we have compatibility, committed to commitment, what's love got to do with it, and then calms down, which the most recent one's talking about communication issues that creep up in marriage and what I faced in the process of that. So if you are interested in listening to that podcast, the description, the video description has that link, and you're more than welcome to put that content in. You can find it on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, whatever some of my other. Let me see here. Yeah. Overcast. There's a variety of others that you can find, but I'm all over the place. So you can find me if you just do a search for Garrett K. Jones, or you do a search for Storytellers Dealing with Divorce. You'll find that. Excuse me. I apologize. Allergies are getting the best of me today. Anyway, so with that being said, check out the podcast. I would love to have more listeners on that. And while I'm not doing a whole lot of writing on anything fictional right now, this has been taking up my time, and it's kind of like my own little audiobook, sort of. I just hope Spotify doesn't just jack it and publish it themselves. Anyway, moving on. So I did want to talk a little bit briefly about some of the upcoming episodes. So I've shared this in previous episodes, but Author Awareness April is coming up pretty quickly. And so here's kind of the calendar of what to expect over the course of the next couple of months. Oh, gosh. Apps just don't want to app. All right, so here we go. So we're just coming. So today's the 24th of February. We're just coming out of that. So we have 3 big things coming up in March, all back to back. So March 16th is the March episode. I'm going to have a brand new top 10 list from Matthew Romeo. I'm going to have a brand new author awareness interview featuring K. Griffin Peterson and new writing tips focused on writing elegies. Then the following week, the 23rd, that's 4 weeks from today, is going to be the March live stream. And then the 30th is the spring preview and the author showcase for Author Awareness April. All right. So those 3 episodes are going to be back to back, boom, boom, boom. And then there's 4 new episodes all throughout the month of April, all back to back each week. So I'm not going to announce who the authors are. I'm going to wait for the spring preview. But I think you'll really like this. But I've got episodes coming out on April 6th, April 13th, April 20th, and April 27th. I'm really excited for this because these episodes it's fun. It gives me an opportunity to kind of just step back. I'm not having to produce I'm producing 4 episodes back to back like this, but they're really easy to do because it's all the same framework. I don't have to do a whole lot of extra scripting. And then, so there's going to be a week-long break. And then there's going to be Star Wars Day on May the 4th. That's a Saturday. That's also Free Comic Book Day, which is always near and dear to my heart because I'm a comic fan, obviously. But then it's also a great way to help local businesses, especially your local comic book store. And so, and that will take us right into mid-May, which is the May episode, followed by the May live stream on the 18th of May, which gives me a few weeks between that and when everything happens. Now, June is actually going to have a little bit of a flip in the way I do things. June is actually going to have the live stream first. Normally, it's the week after the main episode goes out, but June 15th is going to be the live stream. And then June 22nd is the June episode. And then we have 3 episodes in July. We've got the July episode, we have the live stream, and then we have the second annual Righties Award video. And that is to coalesce with everything. So I'm really excited for everything that's going to be happening. Just looking at this, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 episodes. 14 episodes left after this season. This episode, obviously it's a live stream, so it's kind of its own special category, but this is episode 12 of the season. We've got 14 left. I'm really excited. So lastly, I did promise, and I'm keeping this one short because, like I said, I've got to go to work in a little bit. So I've got some stuff I've got to do. But I did promise that I would read a short story to you guys. And this is one that I read. This is one I did back in December. This particular story was one I did for the NYC Midnight 250 word microfiction challenge. And I got my results just a few weeks ago. And so as far as my results are concerned, I was in the top 15 for my category. I was let me see here. According to the information, I was in category 7. My category was romance. So that was the genre. The action was encouraging someone, and then I had to use the word location. They take the top 10 to move on to the next round, but then they do honorable mentions. I got third honorable mention. My story is called Coco and a Shared Kiss. So I was definitely outside of my comfort zone because this is not something I normally write. But then, so I got my results. And so I'll read the story first. I'll let you guys see it on the video, and then I will read the results that I got. So so keep in mind, this is only 250 words. So I hope you guys enjoy this. An embarrassed giggle followed Sarah's shriek. Got you, Grant smiled, catching her before she fell onto the ice. I can't do this, Sarah said. You're not going to ace this on the first try. You are. Grant's grin only widened. What? Sarah asked. Grant hung his head sheepishly. When I said I hadn't been skating, I meant at this rink, he said. Why didn't you just tell me? I want to do this for the first time together. Sarah stared into his eyes, studying them, his green irises locked with her mesmerizing amber hues as he brushed a brunette tress from her face. She shivered, the cozy outdoor location's ambiance juxtaposed by the winter chill. Okay, then what should I do? She asked. Grant stood in front of her, facing against the other skaters' flow moving around them. He took her hands and slowly skated in reverse. Softly push off with your back foot, he said, encouraging her. She did and started gliding. Okay, keep your back straight like you're walking and slide your feet instead of stepping. Sarah moved her right leg as instructed, followed by her left. Focus on me, Grant said. The pair slowly finished 2 laps around the rink before Grant skated beside her, their fingers interlaced. Sarah chanced to look at him, returning his infectious smile. She hugged his arm affectionately 3 laps later, safe in his hold. Their first real date ended an hour later over cups of steaming cocoa and a shared kiss. So that is the story that I wrote. Very Hallmark in its feel. I thought you guys would get a kick out of that. But this is the feedback that I got. This is what the judges liked about the story. An ice rink is a really cute setting for a romantic date, and I really like Grant's care in helping Sarah learn how to navigate the ice. You can learn a lot about a person, less in how they do things well, but in how they handle new situations and things they don't know. Your writing flows well, especially the dialogue exchange between Grant and Sarah. You chose a great snippet of time to tell the story in, enough that you could develop details of the plot and characters without being rushed. There is a great sense of playfulness in the delightful romance. What appeals most to readers is its universality insofar as Grant and Sarah being on their first real date, coupled with the fact that they are engaged in an activity where one character leads the other. In this case, ice skating. Regardless of the activity, most readers will have experienced first dates in which we have tried to impress the other. You have all the right ingredients for a romantic wintertime vignette, the cocoa, the skating, the ice rink, and Grant's tutorial for Sarah, all of which combine deftly. And all is capped off perfectly with the essential kiss. Thanks for a lovely read. Now, that's not to say they didn't think I didn't need work. They thought maybe jumping right into the story would be a little bit better. Some of the details could be better refined to smooth out the story. The subplot of Grant and his skating abilities and all that, they felt it might have been a little unnecessary, but they liked it. yeah, there's some questions about who was doing what with the dialogue, but for me, I don't know. A lot of people, I think, I mean, I separate my dialogue tags. So like, I don't have characters in the same paragraph talking. It's always one paragraph per character per line of dialogue. At least that's how I handle things. So anyway, this was the story I wrote. Initially, when I started writing this, I read it to my best friend. I usually run everything by my best friend because he's known me for a long time. He gives me some great advice. While he's not a writer himself, he also will provide some really great ideas for plot beats or story beats. And so one of the things that I appreciate is his candidness. He suggested I go with something a little bit more steamy, something a little bit more showtimey or R-rated. I chose not to. I felt that was the better choice. I did take his suggestion. I looked at it and I thought about what I could do to write something else. I'm not comfortable writing that kind of content. And so rather than, I was already pushing myself beyond the boundaries of my own comfort zone as it was, because romance is not my thing. If you've read my books, you'll know that there are very few romantic subplots. And if there are, they're done tastefully. They're very PG for the most part. Very rarely do they get dark or graphic. And that's just how I handle it, mainly because I'm uncomfortable writing about it. It's like, for me, it feels too voyeuristic, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, so that is Coco and a Shared Kiss. I will be doing something with that. I'm not entirely sure yet, but these challenges, if you haven't done one of these challenges, they're actually really great. They help you develop your writing skills. They're relatively inexpensive. I think the sign-up fee for the 250 word microfiction is like something like $30. And the last time I did this one a year ago, I made it to the second round. And that's really spectacular. And before this one, I did the 500 word challenge, which the story on that one was called Sarah and the Fae. That was fantasy. That was right up my alley. Very action packed. So if you get an opportunity, I say sign up for it. You can't go wrong. It's a really great learning experience. If you're trying to be a writer, if you're not a writer, and you just want to experiment with something, give it a shot. It's definitely worth doing. They also have 100 word microfiction challenge. I'm not there yet. I would rather do more words, but that's just me. But yeah, so anyway, that's it. I hope that you guys have a great rest of your weekend, closing out February 2024. So you guys have yourselves a wonderful Saturday, and I will be back on the 16th of March with the March episode. So thank you.